Hello, this is concerning the install of Windows GVim and Cygwin under Linux. This is this is a write-up of this article. I'm going to submit this to Code Project when I'm done. This is a draft for the purposes of this video. But anyway, I work on Windows in the IT world, but at home I use only Linux. So sometimes I like to play around and tinker, and there's nothing more exciting for me than to tinker with Cygwin on a Linux box. So without any further ado, let's get going. We're going to start with the Windows GVim setup, and so I'm going to open this up in a new tab. We're going to go to the Vim organization, and we're going to get the latest, we're going to get the Windows install. So we click on download, and then we're going to get Windows. And so let's see. Okay, so we don't have to think about whether we'll go ahead and get this. And so we're downloading this. I always prefer to download before I begin, although the other way does work. So we're going to go over here and we're going to do we're going to open this with Wine Program Loader. So when doing okay. So this will install, and this is the Windows installed version on Linux. So we're going to do yes, we'll agree to the agreement. And I generally go with the defaults. If you're not familiar with Vim, you might want to choose the remap a few keys for Windows behavior, but that's entirely up to you. We'll click next, and unless you have a good reason to change the location, I generally go with the defaults. So that's done. Do you want to see the README file? If we click yes, so we can register Vim. Okay, and this is the README file in Vim. So we're going to go over here to an empty desktop, and we're going to double click on GVim. Okay, and that's our editor. So that's one part of that. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to do we're going to go to the Cygwin part of it. That's a little bit more difficult, but not quite so much. This is the write-up here. I'm going to upload this on VK, and I will have this in the links in case you wish to similarly install it like I have. So this is I'll have the draft out there on VK also. So let's get to the Cygwin install. So we're going to come over here to cygwin.com. Okay, if you're native Windows, of course, you get off the front page. So we're going to go over here to the Ken Brown's landing page. And so that's, and we're going to get the XP installed. Now, one thing about Cygwin under Linux is that it's not beyond 32-bit. Really, the heyday of this thing was Windows XP. So to go beyond that, we're going to scroll this one, and we're going to get the Time Machine. Okay, we're on the Time Machine here. Let's see if I have the. Let's go back to my instructions here. Oh, we're going to go do this one here. So this is the index here. So I went to the Time Machine there. And so this one is the selections, which we're going to use this one right here. This is going to be our repository for the Cygwin install. I am kind of ad-libbing this a little bit. So let's come over here. All right, let's see. Actually, I'm going to cheat a little bit. So I've got it's set up one at 1.7 that we want. That is, we go here. Let's see, Cygwin set 1.7. That's this one right here. So I've already downloaded it. So what we need to do is open up a terminal. This is a little bit different than the standard Windows type of install. Let's see, we're gonna do an ls on this. What we're going to do is a wine console, and that's the same thing on Windows as a command, the cmd.exe. So we're going to do wine console and minus capital X. Well, actually, we're going to do the minus capital X here. That's so it doesn't check the versions. So we're going to, and so we come up here with this next program. We do next, and then we do next. And I generally go with the defaults. This is thus far this is pretty much the same as the Windows version of the install. And disclaimer: Cygwin was never designed to run under Linux, and particularly under Wine. But I did this a number of years ago, and this comes in to be useful every once in a while. So we'll click next. And this is generally this defaults the local package directory defaults to where you invoked your setup.exe, which in our case is the downloads folder. It's calling that the Z because Wine has its own set of directories. So we'll click next. And I have a direct connection, so I'll click next. All right, now this is where we get the repository. So we go back to our web page here, and this is Ken Brown's time machine. And so we're gonna copy this, and we're gonna go back over here to our Cygwin setup, and we're gonna paste this thing right here, the URL, and add that. And by default, you see that we are already pointed at that. So we're going to click next. At this point, you can click on. There are various selections you can have for Cygwin under Cygwin, your Cygwin utilities. I found that Cygwin is a very highly stable product, so even though I'm running a 10-year-old version, it's very stable, so I'm not going to be disappointed, and I'm sure you will not either. So I will click next. And so it's getting the default command line. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles. Of course, those other selections you can get all the bells and whistles if you wish. And so it's downloading that and putting that into place. And as soon as it gets done, take a look at it. These steps are detailed in the write-up I'll upload to VK. Alright, so it's putting this in. And I will say this does run a whole lot faster on Linux than it does on the Windows box. But I think it's kind of neat. The folks at Cygwin have really done an outstanding job with Cygwin, and my hat's off to them. So we're coming upon the completion of this. Let's see, we're almost there. Let's say we're a little bit more. Okay. Well, while that's doing that, let's take a tour of where this is being installed at. We're going to go over here to the home. We're in Dolphin right now, so I'm going to open this as in a new tab so that we're not just blindly watching the install there. When it's done, it's done. So in Wine, if those of you who have never been on Linux, this Wine allows the running of Windows programs under Linux. Now, it's not a full emulated Windows system, and it does not purport to be one. But here are some things. This is what this is the representation of the C drive. If we go here, we have the program files, x86. This is where we put Vim at. And this is our default vimrc folder. And so I'm actually, this is the Linux version of Vim. But I will also have a Windows version of Vim once I've, at a later step. That will be outside this video though. However, that's, so this is just like an ordinary Windows drive. You have your Windows utilities down here. And you've got your System 32 for those of you who are Windows aficionados. And see, since this is Cygwin, this is a 32-bit of Cygwin. Otherwise, it would have Cygwin 64 out to the side. That would stand for the 64-bit of Cygwin. And I have not set it up yet, but this is where the home directory will go. And so, are we done yet? Okay, create an icon on desktop, add icon to start menu, so we'll do finish. And so we'll go to an empty desktop. And so our Cygwin is right here. Now the first time we're going to invoke this, it's going to create our home directories and our initial setup stuff. We'll type in exit. That's similar to the Linux command there. And so now in Cygwin we have a home directory. This is it defaults to the username. And so we don't have anything out here since we haven't really done anything. But once we get going in this acts just like the Windows version right there. And with that, this is the conclusion of the video. Thank you for watching.